Hello everyone and welcome to another talk here. So we're going to discuss Bebop scale. So I did a video last week about Bebop scale types, I think was the name of it. And I got a little bit into the 10 note kind of Bebop scales, but the main main subject of the video was really an 8 note Bebop scale. So we'll go over kind of the basic idea, and maybe also kind of why we might want to talk about these kinds of things and all that. So I'll start out by just doing a little bit of playing. Okay, so throughout that process, I was playing over the Chains of Autumn Leaves, just because I've been thinking about that tune lately, and I'm going to be doing a video on that one here when I can. And so anyway, not to get sidetracked, but I was playing through there. I was deliberately, thinking about placing in some lines that were going to include these kind of scale sort of things. So what are we kind of getting at when we think about these bebop scales? What's the point of practicing them or being aware of them? So one thing, if you were just kind of listening to it, you might not have thought, well, that's a bebop scale or that's a 10-note bebop scale. You might have been thinking, well, that sounds like a kind of a chromatic passage, right? Where we have some notes that are outside of the scale. So when we would typically maybe play over some changes, we might play in the key of 1 sharp in this case, or in E minor, and maybe hit certain chord tones on certain strong beats and things. I outline the chord changes. Okay, But if we want a more of a chromatic sort of sound, then we may turn to, well, obviously playing the chromatic scale. But also these bebop scales are really helpful because we can kind of take a concept of playing chromatic passing tones and landing on some chord tones on the strong beats and things. So I'm going to bring up my here. And we'll kind of look and outline some of these things. And I'll mention I'm going to be releasing, I think today, this as a podcast edition, and also as a I'm streaming live on the YouTube channel for members, and then I'm also going to be recording this to upload later. All right, so let's get our guitar neck dialed in here, and hopefully this will just help give us a visual of what we're thinking about as we play this. As I set that up, so we think about how many notes are in a particular scale. Well, oftentimes we think about 7-note scale. So let's say I play the E natural minor. That, right? So let me get this fine-tuned just a little bit here. All right. So again, that's the key of 1 sharp. Okay. And when we survey those, if we number them, we end up with a 7-note scale here. So okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we get to the octave. So let's spell that out kind of to begin with. So let's say we have E minor. Okay, so natural minor, and I'm just using this one because that is the key signature. Okay, and we're thinking about E minor. So 7 notes, right? Now let's say we had a 6 in here, which is a bit more consonant, right, than the flat 6. Then we can take a look at, let's even look at the minor 6 chord as an arpeggio. Okay, so here we get, right? And as we talked about before, what happens is if we play 8th notes, then every other note is going to be a chord tone on a strong beat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, if we're playing, let's say minor 6. So the kind of tonic minor. Okay. All right, so we already kind of discussed all this. So so let's see if we can take it a step further here and build in some tones. Now, what are some tones that are outside of this sound? So we have E minor 6, the E minor 6. We have the 9, 11, and a flat 7. And I may just be speaking by opinion here, but I would say the 11 is probably the most neutral or consonant sounding one of those 3. And remember, I'm not saying it's good or bad, or the others are bad or anything. It's just I would say it's the more consonant of the sounds. So let's create a little bit of a tone that leads to and from that 11. So now we're going to really start thinking about that 11 as something we're going to land on with strong beats. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Okay? So notice, including the 11, we landed on those tones on strong beats. Now I'm going to add in these other tones, but it gets really kind of busy. So I'm going to kind of take them right back out of there. But that's kind of what we're left with, right? So we're really looking at the root, flat 3, 11, 5, and 6 as our kind of consonants. And what do we end up with there when we think about that? That's the, let's say, the minor 6 pentatonic. How about that? So it's a 5-note scale. Right. Okay. So there is an example of kind of a tonic minor situation there, we'll say. All right. Now let's look at G, since it's the relative major for this key signature, and we do have a 5 of the flat 3. Okay. So let's take a look at that and think about tonic minor, okay, tonic major, and then kind of build up the bebop scales on that. So let's spell it out. Again, we're looking at this. Let's look at it up here in this position. So this is our classic do re mi. Okay. All right. So we've already talked about this, but just to recap on it a little bit, we're going to consider the root 3, 5, and 6 to be the most consonant sounds. Okay, and again, bridge the 5 to the 6 with a kind of a passing tone, right? So we're going to play it. Okay, and so there we end up playing with our eighth notes on strong beats on those tones, root 3, 5, and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. All right. Now, what don't we have within that? So let's take a look at that. So we have 9, 11, and the major 7. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take what I would consider, it's just kind of subjective, I guess, but I would consider the 9 to be the most consonant tone. So what we'll do is we'll include that as something that we're aiming to play on a strong beat, and then we'll connect to and from, the root and to and from the third with a chromatic tone there. So. So let me spell that in there, even though I think it gets a little busy looking, but let's kind of add that in. So notice now we have 10 notes. Okay. So we're treating 9 differently now. We're saying, okay, this is going to be something we can land on as a consonant, so it's kind of like we're including that. And then you see here that we have the major pentatonic scale here. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, right? All right. So I think that will probably be enough on that. That's just a good bit to kind of digest. Um, so we're thinking about some of these tones that we can include as sort of consonances um, in our lines and things um, as we play through. So um, just to review a little bit, so we have certain chord tones. Let's say on the E minor, right, which we can consider work as a tonic minor, right? Okay, so there we have kind of four notes there. Okay. All right, and then as far as let's say adding the 11 in here. Okay, you can see we have the pentatonic. It's almost like the minor pentatonic, but instead of a flat 7, we have the 6. Okay. All right, and then you can see we could put a tone in between each one of these tones that we're considering a consonants, right? So that would give us the 9 and the flat 6, and really major 7 or minor or flat 7. And then, like we said, we talked about the 3 and the sharp 11, right? So we can really kind of fill this up. Or, so that was with the major 7, so the flat 7, right? And kind of the same thing with major, right? So we can take a look, okay, with 3, 5, and 6, kind of fairly consonant, neutral sort of sounds. Okay. You have the 9 in there as another fairly neutral sound. We get the minor pentatonic. And then kind of filling those spaces in between each one of those tones. Okay. All right, so that is gonna conclude our talk for today. So maybe we'll go a little over into the dominant and predominant sort of sounds as well a little later on in the week. So, but I hope you enjoyed this talk, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a great practice session. Let me know how you're doing with all this, and if you learned something, or if this is kind of review or where you're at on things. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you all in the next one.